everyone. I am Samar Fazil, with my group here to present on the topic top 10 most eradicated issues of the world. In the table of contents, we have gender inequality, domestic violence, corruption, child marriage, and human trafficking. Climate change, hunger crisis, water contamination, and poverty.
Okay, so first, gender inequality. When we think of global issues, many of us may think of gender inequality. It may come in our top 5 or maybe even top 3 because it really is a rising issue. No country in the world has fully attained gender inequality. So for now, I will talk about the population who is mostly affected by this issue, which are women. Women really do have the tendency of being patronized and condescended by so many. We can start off by saying that women have very less opportunities compared to men. Even though it is less now, back then women had the weaker jobs, if we take it as that. Men would rather be in the spotlight while women would be in the back doing assistant jobs for them. When we can think of many quotes that go, oh, that's a woman's job, or oh, that's a man's job. So for instance, we can say, oh, being a CEO is a man's job, or oh, being the assistant of a CEO would be a woman's job. So technically, when we think of opportunities, women are always put in the weaker space, while men are put in a more intellectual, understanding space. We can also say that this issue has brought upon undeserved stigma upon women. Again, when we talk about jobs, women are usually responsible for household chores, taking care of the children, or anything related to family. When we think of family, we think, oh, women. But then again, when we think of whoever's earning money for the family, we think of men. For instance, many of us may think the breadwinner of the family is the men, while it may be the women. You see, the problem starts with us and it starts in the house. We have to stop creating a space where we let women be the weaker people or think women are the weaker people. It is time we foster a safe place and understand that we need both men and women to foster a safe place for everyone and have equal development among all of us.
Child marriage. By the word itself, we can tell that child marriage is a marriage done at a premature age and which is not allowed by the law. Child marriage is done mostly in countries like ours, Nepal and India. In Nepal, child marriage can be found in the rural areas, while in the city areas it cannot be found much. Child marriage robs girls of their childhood and threatens their lives and their health.
Okay, we all may be very well about the term corruption since it's deeply rooted into the soil of Nepal. So when we talk about corruption, we can talk about it being a key source of poverty since it disproportionately affects poor and undermining political situations. When we think about corruption, we can think about acts that start with favoritizing people, and mostly we can talk about our government in this situation. We know that the government has performed various types of corruption, and that is directly affecting us as citizens because now the money is being wasted on their own issues rather than the issues that we have. While this money could be working towards our development, it is rather going towards their luxurious life, and technically they're not giving any care about us, the citizens. So many countries have gone into great loss due to corruption, and we can take Nepal as one example. Rather the money being put in good use, it is being put into bad use and being used towards things that are very not really necessary. Thank you.
Human trafficking is trade or supplying of manpower for illegal businesses like prostitution is called human trafficking. Trading of human organs is also falls under a type of human trafficking. Human trafficking can be done in country or between countries to country. A person named Tere Holmes has defined human trafficking very precisely. People involved in human trafficking trap old people, children, or weak people because they can easily trick or fall for it. Can be and can fall for the trap.
The future scarcity of energy and the scarcity of resources of energy is in a very high risk right now, because energy is what the whole world runs at, and at the pace of development, the lack of energy can really harm a country and its development process very crucially. And at this moment in time, energy is one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable, resources in the world right now, and there are being wars held just because of energy and because of lack of resources of energy in various countries in the world. So the whole world right now depends on 80% on non-renewable sources of energy, such as mineral oils, coal, and other non-renewable sources of energy, which can be created after a process that takes like 1 million years, but the energy that is used as a result is depleted within seconds of time. And according to a survey done in 1984 AD, it was said that the energy sources and the reserves of oil will be depleted within the next 25 to 30 years. But as of right now, and as of current reports, it is being said that the energy resources that contain mineral oils and coal and other non-renewable sources of energy will be depleted within 2037 AD, which is not good for humanity, because this will slow down the pace of development and it will really put us backwards in the race of development.
Domestic violence. I'm pretty sure, again, most of us have heard of this term. It is typically termed as aggressive behavior from a family member towards its spouse. Now, one stereotype many of us have is that domestic violence only occurs physically. But domestic violence occurs both physically and mentally. You see, physical and mental health are both important. And when you have words being thrown out at you which are very undermining, that really depletes your mental health. So again, another stereotype is that domestic violence occurs only with men and women, or wife and spouse, or two spouses. But we can't necessarily say that, because domestic violence can occur with anyone in the family. For example, I could take a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. And in that situation, the husband or the man of the family would be the third party and would technically not be in domestic violence, but be somewhat trying to resolve the issue, or not. It could be 2 against 1 too. Next, we can say there estimates around 1/3 of women and men worldwide who have experienced domestic violence, and because of this, it has depleted their physical health, their mental health. It has also affected the children in the household, since they see this going on very usually, and the children could develop this psychological situation in which it could affect them to perform this type of behavior in the future too. So if we are to implement awareness programs and any recognitions to get rid of such issue, then it would be good, because we can decrease the amount of domestic violence occurring in the world.
Also, what climate change is, it's the adverse effects seen in the climate and weather patterns of a place. The major cause of climate change is basically human activities, but other natural causes such as ozone forming in the lower atmosphere is also a cause of climate change. Human activities such as driving cars can create greenhouse gases, which can increase the global temperature. In fact, the global temperature of the Earth has risen by 1.1 degrees Celsius since the 1800s. Other major causes can be driving cars, running factories near cities, etc. And I suggest shifting focus towards using more green energy and building factories outside big cities, etc.
Without water, we've learned this since childhood. Water is one of our basic needs in order to sustain life and to live life. Every day we drink a huge amount of water in order to just sustain and keep our body hydrated. And dehydration is a major problem in most people right now. And also water contamination is one of the biggest issues in the whole world right now. Because according to reports, around 2.1 billion people every day lack access to safe drinking water, and it is very harmful for their health, as it is also reported that around 297,000 children annually die just because of waterborne diseases that come up because of diseases that are caused by water contamination and lack of safe drinking water in those areas that those children live in. It is a huge health problem and honestly a disgrace to humanity because people are dying right now just because they cannot get safe drinking water and they cannot sustain life because they're not able to get water that they're supposed to use for their daily life, which is supposed to be a basic need. Also, agriculture is responsible for 70% of the water waste, and it is so because the wastewater from agriculture is not reused properly and it is not processed and thought of being reused again, which is causing a huge problem because it makes the water a one-time use resource, whereas if we do reuse it or process it and try and reusing it, then we can sustain water much more with the limited amount of water that we get daily. And also 80% of wastewater is being processed and thrown out in the environment without any properly planned and processed policies, which pollutes the environment even more and causes more health problems globally.
Crisis. Studies show that 1 in 9 people do not have food to eat. And latest data, I was not able to change it here. 975 million people across 95 countries do not have proper food to eat. This is a very huge problem in our world because people can suffer from malnutrition and eventually die due to hunger crisis. Different organizations such as UN are also working with some hunger crisis around the world. We should contribute as much as we can and try to solve this issue.
Global poverty. Global poverty represents serious problems worldwide. At this point in time too, and it is one of the most serious problems in the world, and it is the root of many problems seen globally, such as lack of proper education, lack of safe drinking water, lack of food, and it really causes a lot of problems in people's daily lives as they cannot sustain their lives without having proper access to these things. And since their daily life, they cannot get enough money to sustain their lives. This also causes many deaths. And it is suggested that around 60% of the world's population lives at under $10 every single day, and around 10% live on $1.90 per day, which is very disgraceful again because people are dying just because they cannot have enough money to gain food, gain access to proper education, and gain shelter, which are the 3 basic needs that a human needs to survive in this world.